All right, guys, good morning. Make sure that you fill out your heading completely. I will take points off if it's not filled out. Make sure it's legible. Make sure it has the date. And you're in cohort 5, either A or B. Please put that there. Please do not write up here. This is where I put your grades and some feedback. Anytime it says factor, you can use menu 3, 3, 2. So I'm in my scratch pad, menu 3, 3, 2. I'm going to put in my equation. And then I'm going to remember to put comma P afterwards and press enter. This is what I'm getting out. This is how you show your work. We're going to write that down right here. It has to be a curly bracket, cannot be parentheses. Parentheses means you have an X and then a Y value. These are two X values. What we do now is we set up our parentheses. 2 numbers, 2 sets of parentheses. Whatever number is in front of the highest term, so this is P squared, so that's our degree, that's our biggest term. The 7 comes down. Then what we do is whatever letter it is, that goes in front. And then instead of saying minus 4 over P, we change the sign. Now plus 0 and minus 0, same thing. Plus 0, minus 0, doesn't matter. Then there's 2 things we do with this fraction. The first thing we do is we divide the coefficient by it. The second thing we do is pop it in front. So 7 divided by 7 is just 1. Then I would have 7p plus 4. And p plus 0 is just p. Normally we would just rewrite this with the p in front, and we don't need that 1. And we're done. Let's try it for number 2. Again, menu 3, 3, 2. Put in our equation. I highly encourage you to try this on your own before watching the rest of it, to make sure that you understand or to find where your confusion is. So now I have my 2 numbers. These are called solutions. These are also your x-intercepts. Again, we're going to bring the 6 down in front because it's our first coefficient. It's the coefficient of our highest power, term with the highest power. Parentheses. My letter is R, so it comes down into both of them. Instead of minus 6, it's plus 6. Instead of minus 10 over 3, it's plus 10 over 3. Then there's 2 different things we do with that 3. See if you can remember them. The first thing is we divide the coefficient. The second one is we put it up in front. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And we're done. The next thing we're going to do is by taking square roots. Now you guys are all really good at square roots. We're going to show you something that we haven't spent a lot of time on. We're going to be using square roots to solve. The first thing we want is we want to get x squared alone. So I'm going to say plus 3 plus 3. X squared equals 1. And then square root both sides. And then remember plus minus. So if I have x squared equals 1, there's actually 2 numbers that would make that work. If I take the square root on both sides, the square root's going to cancel out with the squared, so that I just get x equals the square root of 1. Now here's the tricky part. When I put in the square root, it's not given to me with the square root, but if I put in the square root, there has to be a plus or a minus. And this is because x could either be negative 1 or positive 1. Because if we square negative 1, we would have negative 1 times negative 1, which is a positive 1. And if we have 1 times 1, it's also a positive 1. So there's two different numbers that would work. And that's going to be true every time. Let's try one that's a little less pretty. Again, we're going to get the x squared by itself. Minus 1, minus 1. Going to take the x squared down. I'm getting 17. Square root both sides. Now this does not reduce. This side does. But 17 is prime. Do you remember what prime means? Prime means that the only two numbers that multiply to it is itself and 1. And you can check this if you go to your calculator, menu 2, 3, and you put in 17. 17 is the only number that works. So this is going to be the positive square root of 17 and the negative square root of 17. Those are your two answers. Quick quadratics review. See how the arrows are still here on both sides and they're going up and out? That means my domain is all real numbers. My range. If it is a smiley face like this, it is always y is greater than or equal to. If it's a frowny face, it is y is less than or equal to. This is a smiley face, so y is greater than or equal to. Go straight over. We're hitting at 4. The axis of symmetry is always x equals. Take your vertex, go straight down. That's also a 4. My zeros. Zeros are where it's crossing the x-axis. In this case, there are none. Do not write 0 because 0 means it's going through the origin. Write none. My y-intercept. There is always a y-intercept. My y-intercept looks to me like it's 20. If they gave me an equation, I could check. Just make that a little nicer. It's 20, so it's just going to be 20. Is this a max or a min? It's a min because it's at the bottom. And then it's always a y equals whatever your y value is here. Same idea here. I've got arrows on both sides, so my domain is all real numbers. My range is y is smaller than, x equals, and this is going to be a max. Now let's see if you can fill in some of this information. Range, again, it's y, so we go to the very top and come over. Now this is 8, this is 10. What number is in between 8 and 10? 9. Whatever I'm getting for this is also my value, my max or my min value. Axis of symmetry. Come straight down. I'm at 1. Axis of symmetry is just where you can take this and fold it in half. Zeros. Where is it crossing your x-axis? I'm getting here and here. Can't really see that. I'm getting -2 and +4. If they write it as a point, it would be -2, 0, 4, 0. You can see why they're calling it zeros. The y-intercept is at 8. If you wrote this as a point, x would be 0, y would be 8. Zeros are pretty important. All right, guys, good luck. Ask if you have questions.